going to try my best to keep this to 5 minutes because it's really the passion in my life. But basically, as Juliana said, this is something that I overcame myself. I used to be about 65 pounds heavier, which is, I've lost over a third of my body weight and kept it off for several years now. And one of the things that I noticed the most is that this is something that's really hidden within the vegan community, and people don't really understand what binge eating actually is. And so I thought I would start with a little bit of like problem awareness and give the definition and kind of the experience of what it feels like to be a binge eater. And so a binge is simply eating more than you want, whatever that is, for yourself in a certain period of time. So I have clients who that can be eating like 2 pounds of vegetables in a short period of time. A binge isn't just eating cake and cookies. It can be anytime you put some sort of restriction or label that I've had too much and you feel basically out of control, and it's like a spiral. And from that place, it creates, there's really two driving reasons behind binge eating. The first is this feeling of needing control. And so I'm going to talk briefly in a moment about something called the binge restrict cycle. But you get put into this cycle of trying to control your food, losing control, and then trying to control it back. And then this brings up feelings of low self-worth. And it's really a question, not so much of food is what drives binge eating and food addiction, but of emotional regulation and feeling of self-worth. It's really about the connection you have with yourself. And so that cycle that I was talking about is when you binge, is that feeling of losing control. And so you just like eat. There's like, it almost feels like a life or death situation. When I was in the worst of this, it felt like I was truly gonna die if I didn't have the food that I was craving. And so you feel totally out of control. The way that you gain control back is to put restrictions on what you're eating. That could be like, for me, I didn't eat sugar and flour for 2 years. It could be, I'm not gonna have chocolate. You make these rules for yourself. I'm not gonna eat after 6 p.m. And so you try and get control. And oftentimes it's about weight as well, because again, coming back to that point of about self-worth and self-image. And if you think that you weigh too much, you're going to try and lose weight. How do we do that? Well, traditional advice is I'm going to eat less food. I'm going to cut calories. I'm going to move more. So over-exercising and restricting on calories. Then you put your body into this state of actually being physically hungry and wanting food. And so it's this vicious cycle of then you get all the cravings, the urges come back, and your body's like, we need food. So what do? You binge because you've been restricting. And then it goes back into the cycle of, oh my gosh, I binged, go back. And that's the binge restrict cycle that people get stuck in. And the way that you break through it is not around food rules. It's not about having a meal plan. It's not about cutting out certain foods, which is something that I tried for many years. It's actually about, I have like 4 kind of pillars. The first is trusting yourself around food, trusting your decisions that you make. And it starts with food, but it really goes into other areas of your life. The second is acceptance of your food choices. What triggers this cycle as well is that I didn't accept that I had chocolate that one time. I felt totally out of control. Go back into control mode. Lose control, want more chocolate, and on and on and on. So it's acceptance of where you are right now and what decisions you make. Loving yourself as well, because you can have all these guilt, shame feelings when you're in this spiral. And so it's really about learning to love yourself, love your body for what it is. And then the fourth is appreciation. It's really important to appreciate the food as you're eating it so that you can actually fully engage with it and become present with it. Appreciating your body, appreciating the food that's nourishing you, appreciating yourself for your choices, just appreciation in general. And so that's really shifted. It's really a mindset shift of going from a place of fear and scarcity. Fear that I can't control myself around food. Scarcity, I can only eat super clean, or having these rules around it. And if that also triggers this cycle as well, because if you're coming from this place of scarcity, then I'm going to eat everything I can right now because I can't have it again tomorrow or the next day or the next day. So when you shift from that into a place of abundance and this love and acceptance and appreciation, you can have the foods that you want to have them in a, like, I'm not going to say normal. I try to remove labels, but have them in a adequate nourishing amount for your body and appreciate it and then move on. So you get out of this cycle because you're able to break free from it. And so that's really been kind of the work that I personally had to do and that I work with my clients on, is to break out of this cycle to get freedom and actually be able to love, trust, appreciate, and accept yourself, your choices, your body. And that translates into all other areas of your life, because food is really just the surface level problem. There's really things that go on below it. And that's what where the real work is, where the real beauty is. Because when you trust and love yourself, that goes into your work, that goes into your relationships, it goes into everything. So thank you everyone for listening.